Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second live stream of today. There will be a third one coming up tonight, 9 p.m. Sydney time, 8 p.m. Brisbane time, and let's not forget 9 p.m. Melbourne time, on All the Way with William Bay on Cafe Lockdown. Thanks for joining me on that show as usual. But now we have the indomitable Dr. Paul Oosterhouse, who is not suspended, joining us today. Welcome, Paul.
Hello, Billy, Dylan, Miley. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you, Paul. Thanks for coming on.
Good to see you, Paul.
Dr. Oosterhouse, always lovely to have your wisdom and your insight and your intelligence with us, as always. Dr. Miley Trinh, the suspended, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thank you.
That's good. Have you recovered from the... That's okay. It's a pleasure, as always, to have you as well. Such a indomitable fighting spirit that you have in Christ our Lord as well, Dr. Miley Trinh. And Miley, how have you been recovering since the unfortunate temporary loss with my case against APRA this morning? How you been feeling?
Well, to a certain extent, that's to be expected. I wouldn't expect them to grant you a win that easily. So, but I know, yes. I know you, William. So I know that you're going to have a comeback, and it's going to be bigger than the.
It's going to be the comeback king, in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. And yes. Speaking of Jesus, we have the one, the only, the evangelist, Dylan Oakley. Dylan, thanks so much for joining us. How are you doing, my friend?
Very well, William, and thank you for inviting me on today. G'day, Dr. Paul, Miley. Good to see you both again. Haven't seen you since Sydney in the flesh anyway, and that was wonderful memories of our time down there together.
Yes,
absolutely. Indeed. Yes, it's the troublesome three, giving persistent problems to APRA, strangely informing others, and strangely demanding informed consent. And of course, we're getting much support from Freedom Has a Voice, Mr. Dylan Oakley, who has been of much comfort and support to me during these most difficult but winning of times. And we are winning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, because despite my loss in the High Court this morning, it's not over. It's not over by any way, shape, or form. APRA may want it over, but it shall not be over until I say it's over, and it is not over. The case will go on, just in a different forum at another time and another place. So do not lose hope, people. These wars do take time. They did not defeat the Nazis overnight. It took them 4 years, and maybe it will take us 4 years as well. But eventually, at the end of the day, nobody cares too much, sort of, that the Nazis were defeated after 4 years. What everybody cared about was that the Nazis were defeated. And that's what we will do in this fight for freedom in this country and around the world. So, Dr. Paul, what are we on for today? Would you mind letting our audience know what this is all about?
Well, I've come to learn.
Great.
Great. I was on a call this morning with a great doctor in the US. So I missed what happened this morning. So maybe you can catch.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So for those people who are unable to catch my live stream this morning, and actually, I must apologize. There were probably thousands of you who did miss it. The reason being is Facebook blocked my entire William Bay live stream. So I'm very sad in that Margaret Stratford, the Vice President of QPP, sent out the live stream to 76 groups, and it failed for every single one of them, unfortunately. But so we won't make the same mistake this time. That's why we're streaming to all pages, all places, YouTube, Twitter, multiple Facebook accounts, Cafe Lockdown, Freedom Truth Australia, William Bay, Billy Bay, Dr. Paul Oosterhouse, Dr. Miley Trinh, Freedom Has a Voice. We're going everywhere so they cannot censor us. But what happened this morning is that I was getting my judgment from the High Court on my historic appeal to appeal the decision of the full bench of the High Court. And another full bench had been convened to determine that matter, and I lost. Unfortunately, my matter was dismissed. I don't actually know why it was dismissed, because even until this moment, which is 12:35 p.m. Brisbane time, they still haven't sent me the reasons for decision, Paul. So it could be a very good reason. It could be a interesting reason. I'll find out later, and perhaps I'll talk about it with my good friend Michael G. Griffiths on Cafe Lockdown tonight at 9 p.m. Sydney, Melbourne time. But Dylan, what's your thoughts on a loss? Like, is a loss truly a loss, or should we keep on going? Should we keep fighting in this war?
Well, I shared with you, William, those wise words I was told just a couple of days ago. It's not about winning or losing. It's about winning or learning. Or we could even say better than that, winning and learning. Because as long as we're learning at all times, that's the most important thing. I think there's been so much growth for all of us personally in so many ways. Let's face it, even with the most basic thing, technology. I mean, I feel like I'm growing up real fast when it comes to technology over the last couple of years because I've had to. And it's not about whether we win or lose. It's about whether we win or learn. You know, one of the things I used to, and we're actually off camera before, William, we're talking about my soccer coaching career, if you like. And
yes, tell us about that.
One of the things I used to teach the kids, and I always talk about it with my children as well around rugby league and whatever games we're watching. It's very difficult sometimes to learn from a win because you're on a high and you're just caught up in that moment. You in fact learn more from a loss than you do from a win. And I took a soccer team under 12s, as I was telling William earlier, and we didn't lose a game all season, which is great.
Amazing.
It's great, but it's harder to teach the players when they haven't had a loss because they're full of themselves in a sense. So it's good to be able to say, this is what we could have done better, and we learn a lot from a loss. Not saying that we need to, but the other comment was that Michael Gray Griffiths said recently when I was speaking to him, and he said we must be able to fail forward. We move through life and have to have the permission to fail if we're going to ultimately succeed. So we have this wrong understanding sometimes, or culture, if you like, that says we have to get everything perfect. We have to win on every account. And without, as you just mentioned there with your Nazi analogy, it's the bigger picture that's important. We're going to have many battles. Some are going to go our way. Some are going to be more difficult. But as long as at the end of the day we win and we accomplish victory, that's the most important thing. And that's why we always say we win and we will win and we know we win, because we know that truth is on our side, and we might have some setbacks, but we're going to learn a lot from those setbacks. We're going to learn a lot from temporary failings, as it seems, to achieve the ultimate win. So I would encourage you, William. It is you who is the indomitable one.
No, just Jesus Christ our Lord.
That's right. His strength and his power in us, and what a wonderful reality it is. And I encourage so many people to discover what it is like to have the strength of Jesus Christ in you in these days, because life is a lot easier if we have his power within us to do the job.
Absolutely. So Paul said he wanted to learn what today's broadcast is about, and ladies and gentlemen, it's about the ticker that's going across the bottom of the screen. Just like CNN, we are taking over the mainstream media, and we are winning. And the ticker says, wait a minute, I've got to wait till it comes back again. Here it goes. High Court judgment on appeal about the 2023 referendum expected any moment, 8:32. The truth will set you free. So, that's what it's about. Miley, could you update our audience, please, about what this High Court case is all about?
Okay, so William, I believe you lodged the Form 12.
Yes, and what is the form? What is the Form 12, Miley?
So the Form 12 was to challenge the AEC that the ballot paper did not meet the requirement of the writ for the referendum. That the ballot was invalid.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. That is correct, Miley. Yes. Go on.
And you progressed to lodge, and that was rejected, I believe.
That's correct. Yeah, like in my first matter on the great controversy of 5th of September 2023, my filing on this constitutional writ was likewise rejected. It was not allowed to be filed this time, not by Justice Jago, but by Justice Gleeson.
Right. So exactly the same thing happened. And you progressed to lodge Form 31 on the 10th?
That's right. On this Tuesday. Yes, yes, that's right. Tuesday, the 10th of October, the Form 31, which is an appeal on the failing to register or file that Form 12, was lodged on Tuesday. Yes, Miley, in the High Court of Australia, correct?
Yes, and so we're waiting for the outcome of that application?
We are waiting for the outcome of that. That's right, because if I am successful today, it means that my matter will be able to go to a full hearing and an urgent hearing on the constitutionality and the legality of the 2023 referendum. And what is my case all based about? Why am I saying the 2023 referendum is invalid? Well, I'm saying it's invalid because I'm losing my right to vote. And in fact, all Australians, Paul, are losing their right to vote because this ballot paper that I have received from the AEC in the proposed law section is not, in fact, the correct proposed law. And this isn't a figment of my imagination. It is actually the law as prescribed by the Referendum Act in Form B of Schedule 1 and the Referendum Act in Form A of Schedule 1. And interestingly, what I since discovered since my last case, because you're right, Dylan, I am learning, the referendum writ itself, the writ for referendum issued by the Governor-General David Hurley, actually says that this is not the title. The referendum writ, and I might bring it up on the screen in a moment, says that the title of the bill to change the referendum is the Constitution Alteration Aboriginal Voice Act 2023. So that is the basis of my case in the High Court, that my ballot is being disenfranchised, which means I'm losing the right to vote. And I'm also saying that even if the High Court disagrees with me and this ballot is lawfully produced, which I believe it's not, but let's say it is, I'm saying that this reference to the proposed law is not helpful to anybody because nobody can understand it. Nobody can find out what it actually means. I have proved this in my case, Paul, to the High Court by showing that if you do a search for these words in the Federal Register of Legislation, it will not bring up any laws. So this reference is an incomplete, misleading reference, and it gets better yet. It truly does, because if you look again for this proposed law in the referendum booklet, which is what some people have received in the mail, and nobody is receiving in the postal vote applications, by the way, and some people are not even receiving this in the ballot boxes at the polling booths. You know what? Even if you do get this, which not everybody's getting, so that's why they're disenfranchised as well. Even if you do get this, guess what? The title of the bill is not there either. It's this one. It's this one. And I'll read it now. This is what and the reason it's here, Dylan, is because this is what the Governor-General asked to be put here. It says, Constitution Alteration, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Voice 2023. That, my friends, is the proposed law, and that is what's on the referendum writ. So I have argued to the High Court that Tom Rogers, the Australian Electoral Commissioner, is disobeying a direct command of the Governor-General of this country, thus invalidating this entire election. And I dare the High Court to defeat me on that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
well,
huge.
I think it's great. I think it's you're winning as long as you resist and as long as you keep asking the questions, you keep revealing the truth. I mean, you don't need a vast army of lawyers to point out what's basically common sense. And it boggles the mind at the moment that it hasn't yet manifested in the courts. But I think that the arguments you make, although they're couched in law, the mere fact of getting that information out to the people, it's the understanding of the failures of this referendum to offer a legitimate choice to people is very clear.
Yeah, thank you for those words, Dr. Paul. Dylan, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that is spot on by Paul. Spot on. It's about having the conversation, and it's about asking the questions and pointing out the perceived errors. It would seem that authorities, particularly authorities that go rogue, want to push through an agenda at all costs, would have people ideally just to remain silent and quiet, and if they step out of line, to quickly bully them back into position, weaponizing some labels or whatever it is to stop the public conversation. And we must have a public conversation. This is a public debate. We're talking about an extremely important thing here, and that is changing the Constitution. And it has to be done exceptionally carefully to make sure that everything is done transparently, fairly, legally, in accordance with the Constitution, so that we get this right and so that Australians can own the final decision. And all we've seen through this whole campaign, besides putting the arguments of whether we should have this supposed voice to Parliament or not, just the underhanded dealings, the sloppiness around the management of this referendum, right through to the referendum question itself, means that there is very little confidence already amongst many Australians that if this were to get across the line, that it's even been done fairly and legally. So I'd expect that we will have some High Court challenges around this referendum. And William, you are doing the hard work in your capacity as a layman when it comes to the law to put these arguments forward. And when we have a moment through this broadcast, I'd like to talk about other developments, other conversations that we're having around raising a budget to have a silk handle some of these matters in the court. But for now, thank you for asking the questions. Thank you for bringing this into the public conversation. Please ignore the trolls and the people who would try and shout down logical, common sense responses and arguments around this. We need to have the conversations. And what Paul just said is correct. It's good for people to have a hesitation or to think through things if that's what's in front of them. And you're pointing it out very, very clearly today.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan. Miley, what's your comments on the case as I have presented to the High Court?
Well, it's a very strong legal argument there. What I want to ask you is, can the High Court not hear your case? Can the High Court ignore what you presented to them, is what I'm asking. Because you have a strong legal argument, and the voters are disenfranchised from the illegal ballot. And maybe later on I'd like to share about my experience when I went to vote on the pre-poll as well, if that's all right.
Yeah, please go ahead. Tell us now, Miley.
Yes, so on Saturday last week, I went to the pre-poll booth to cast my vote. And after my name got ticked off, I asked whether I could have a look at the law, whether they have got the actual law for me to read before I cast my vote. And that's on the belief that the Section 128 of the Constitution gives me that right to actually read the law before I cast my vote. So I was told to speak to the supervisor, and so I spoke to the supervisor, and he told me that there isn't a law. In fact, there hasn't been written up yet.
Wow. And I believe that you have put this testimony in a sworn affidavit to the High Court, Miley.
Yes, I did. Because,
fantastic.
Because to me that is so. To me, it's very troubling, because number one, everyone is entitled to read the law before they cast their vote.
Yes.
Now, some people didn't know they have that right, but I did, and I wanted to read that, and it should be made available to the people at the polling booth. Secondly, for the supervisor of that pre-poll to actually don't know that the law exists is very, very troubling. So it tells me that something really disturbing is happening.
Yeah,
he should have been trained. He should have been told, because this is basic. It's a very basic, fundamental procedure. He should be told what the law is, and that should have been made available for that voting centre.
Paul,
So
what do you think about that? Paul, yeah, some commentary on that, please, sir.
You get the impression that what they ultimately want is just a ballot paper that says yes, vote yes, and you tick that. There's no even the narrative is all. You hear people talk about the yes vote. It's not a yes or no vote, where you're actually balancing opposing arguments. It's been completely unopposed, and that's not what our founding fathers envisaged. That's not a true plebiscite. That if all you're bringing to the people is vote yes, vote for Big Brother, vote for whatever the powers that be say. It's clearly not it's not what the Constitution envisaged when you're changing the highest law in the land, and people should. It boggles the mind that you can't even go to Miley's experience and say, what is the law that I'm voting for? And I go, oh, we don't know. Just vote yes, or just vote for Elbow and the Vibe. Whatever it is they tell us, it is so inadequate. It is so clearly a breach of the democratic process, and I think people know it. People are understanding it, and regardless of the decisions to this day from the courts, the public understand. A lot of the public understand what's going on, and that
absolutely.
This process is not occurring according to the laws, and they can argue that the different arguments, but I don't think they will hold sway in the future. That's why last time I said it was more about reaching the hearts of the justices, because I don't even think it's a legal argument. We need people within the highest institutions to understand the degree to which Australians and the whole West have been betrayed.
Very well said, Paul.
And that we need to pull back from the breach. And your framing of informed consent, that to make any decision, whether it's a medication that's being forced upon you and your family, or changes to the laws of the land, you need to have both sides of the argument. And in some ways, this is
informed consent.
This is a continuation of that same subversion. And as people understand how badly they were betrayed in the first instance with the genetic therapies and the harms that they're producing, it ultimately comes down to trust. And I don't believe these institutions deserve our trust anymore, and they haven't earned our trust, and they're going to have to do some work to bring it back. And I pray for a good result at the referendum, but I think we have to. It would be prudent to assume that these people are not playing by the rules of the Constitution and by the rules of that our founding fathers have put in place, and so we're going to have to keep at it,
fighting. Yeah, absolutely, which is what exactly we're doing. Dylan, what do you think about these revelations, these sworn testimony put before the High Court by Dr. Miley Trinh, that in fact this referendum information, this booklet, or even any information about the proposed law is not available for her or other people? What do you think about that, Dylan?
Well, like I said before when I responded, it's wonderful that Miley is making the effort to firstly ask the questions, and then two, to follow up on the process of bringing that to the attention of people who need to know about it. It's called active citizenship, and we desperately need it in this country. The she'll be right attitude is not going to get us through these dark and difficult days.
No.
And if I may, at the moment, William, I'll speak about another courageous Australian by the name of Elaine. She's 73 years of age. Yes. And she also has made the decision to go public and talk to me. And I did a live interview with her about what she experienced at the nursing home where her dear husband is being nursed with dementia, and get straight to the heart of this idea, as you were saying, Paul, of informed consent. We see that the battle in the last so-called pandemic era and now around this as well. But what happened there was that, if I may tell the story, and by the way, this story has now got about 75,000 views or more on Twitter.
Amazing. Yep.
And has come to the attention of Senators Malcolm Roberts, Senators Jared Rennick, and more, I understand, plus the likes of the real Rukshan himself. And I did an interview with Topher Field yesterday, which will appear on the Aussie Wire. So more people are picking up this story. But essentially what happened, and this is very important, I want to make this comment before I share the story. I was told that this dear lady had this experience that she saw was unethical, she saw was untoward, she saw it reeked of corruption around collection of votes from dementia patients at the nursing home. When I heard this story off from her friend, a friend alerted me to it, the first thing I needed to establish is whether this lady was willing to go public, whether she was willing to sit down with me, put her face to the camera and tell the story as it happened. Because there's no point, as you know, and as we all know, if she doesn't want to do that. And I think what we've learned over the last few years is that we all need to be courageous. We all need to be ready to be seen, to be heard. I remember talking to some people who came to rallies for the first time and they felt a bit anxious. The first time they went to a protest rally. And that's because they were, in a sense, becoming public. And it's another situation altogether when you actually hop up on the stage or you put yourself onto a live stream or whatever. We have these different levels or steps that we take to go more public and to be seen and heard with the truth that we know that needs to be told. So with Elaine, she agreed to do that. And so I sat down with her, and to summarize and make the story fairly quick, she went to the nursing home to visit her husband. She was completely unaware that day when she went there that the AEC would arrive and set up a polling centre complete with all of the purple paraphernalia, the branding of the AEC for this referendum, purple balloons and the like. But what struck her and concerned her greatly was that they put up this massive vote yes sign. It was one of those ones that you kind of unroll and it stands up with a stand, and they put that in the room where they were going to take the patients. And then they went about and went up to patients, including dementia patients, quite a few of them in the nursing home, and said it's time now to vote, wheeled them into the voting area. And the only sign that Elaine ever saw that day was one large yes sign that they saw as they were rolled in. And then they cast their vote. We don't know what was said once they went into the room, but she's got 30 years in the health system herself, experience. Her husband has dementia. She knows exactly what it's like for these dear people. They struggle to remember the day of the week, their name. They could do something and a few minutes later not even recall that they've done it. And she was horrified to see them being rolled in to vote, to cast a vote on this most important, critical issue for our nation, without any family members there to ensure everything's being done above board, with the only sign they're seeing as they're wheeled in is the yes sign, and without knowing at all what the nurse or the AEC representatives are saying to them. They came up to her husband, in fact, and said to him, it's time now to vote. And she said, excuse me, he will not be voting. He hasn't got the capacity to do it. And they said, well, then he's going to be facing a fine. And she said, no, he won't be. And she explained that she has even gone through the process to try and have him removed from the electoral roll. And that's another whole issue that I'm talking about with Elaine. It's really another angle that I spoke about as well with Topher that we need to explore. But essentially what happened there was that family members of these patients in the nursing home were only informed a couple of weeks ago about a form they needed to fill out to have their family members removed from the roll in relation to this referendum. Now, Elaine was straight onto that, but even though she went and got the required doctor's certificate and et cetera, she was now being informed that it's going to take at least 2 months to process that form. So her husband is required to still vote in this referendum, but he'll be off the roll for the next election. And she said that won't be happening. Right back as far as February when she put him in the nursing home, she said on the paperwork there he is not to vote, he's incapacitated. When the Centrelink, she said the same thing. The government has had every and ample opportunity to make sure that people are given due warning and plenty of time to fill out this paperwork and have anybody that family members think shouldn't vote taken off the roll, but they've done it in such a way. Is this a bureaucratic bungle or is it something more sinister? But the fact is that these dear people are being, vulnerable people are being rolled out to vote for something that they cannot make an informed decision about. Family members.
Dylan, did this woman say that the family members weren't allowed to be with their loved ones when they voted?
Yeah, let me just go back to that. So what the story was there, Paul, was that family members were unaware this was happening. So she was there for an entirely different event. There was a Christian service on at the nursing home. She wanted to take her husband to that Christian service, and that's when she discovered this was going on. Now, the family members are given little run sheets or planning sheets, every couple of weeks or a month or whatever they put out and say, these are the upcoming events, so that they can be there at the nursing home to accompany their family members there at these different events. This event, this polling centre, rollout polling booth, pre-polling booth, whatever you want to call it, was not on that run sheet, was not on that planning sheet. She had no idea. And that's why there were no family members present. So, Paul, to be accurate, it's not as though they said to family members, no, you can't be part of it. No, they just weren't there. And so in their absence, they were collecting votes off these people. It gets worse. She said she witnessed the AEC representative and a nurse then go off and go to everybody who was bedridden and collect the vote of those who were bedridden as well. So it's about the appearance of evil. It's about whether something has the appearance of integrity. It's whether something has the appearance of corruption. As I said before, Australians need to have utter confidence. Come on. This is the people's constitution. This is our nation. This is the future of our nation for our children, for our families. We have a wonderful heritage in this country. We have wonderful unity and peace in this country. And we've had this massive division brought, like one of our elderly family members said recently. He said, and he's in his 80s, he said, whether this gets across the line as a yes or as a no, it doesn't matter. The division has been sown. And it's just disgraceful that even just by the practice of what I've described, Paul, that it could cast any doubts on the whole integrity of this constitutional referendum. And so we've seen what William's raising around the question. We're seeing all these other areas around even the branding. This may not even be as big an issue if we didn't have this purple branding being used on both the AEC official stuff and then on the Yes Campaign's material. So if you want to blur the lines and you want to make this completely muddied and unreliable and untrustworthy for Australians to accept, you've done a very good job, Albanese government, and you've sown a lot of division into this nation. But I'll come back to that sense of unity a bit later. I've said a bit there.
Yeah, so that's absolutely correct, Paul, Dylan, absolutely. And so for those people who are joining us now, this is the 30-minute mark of the High Court judgment decision live, coming on Cafe Locked Out, Dr. Paul Oosterhouse, Miley Trinh, Freedom Has a Voice, William Bay, Billy Bay. We are the new media. The mainstream media cannot be trusted. We are working in your best interest to give you the truth. And the truth is that this referendum ballot paper is fraudulent. It is fraudulent for all the reasons that I have explained in my High Court case at qpp.life/legal. Have a read. You'll see the truth. And I just want to give an update to everybody. I will check my emails now to see if the judgment has come through. Not on Proton, not on Gmail, and one on my High Court system. No, that has not been either. So the case is still live, and that case is available at qpp.life/legal. I just want to add now to show people what I was talking about previously, which is about this referendum writ. So hopefully you can see that quite clearly. That is the Commonwealth of Australia writ for a referendum, ladies and gentlemen. And as you can see, actually, I'll read it. It's to Thomas Joseph Rogers, Electoral Commissioner. I command you, in bold, I command you to cause a proposed law, and this is the important point, Paul, here we go, a proposed law entitled Constitution Alteration Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Voice 2023. To be submitted according to law in each state and territory. So I'll just take that off the screen. And I'll put everybody back again. So, Paul, you just saw it. I hope you saw that writ there. That is not what is written on the ballot paper, ladies and gentlemen. That is not the law. The law that they've written here to trick everybody, because it is deceit, is a proposed law to alter the Constitution to recognise the First Peoples of Australia by establishing an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. So, Dylan, what do you think about that? Have I made my case on that point?
Yeah, I think. Look, I don't think you leave any stone unturned, Billy. It's not to me. But let's face it. I'm not. I don't have any legal background. You know what I mean? But as far as I can see, and you're making your case crystal clear. And what is required. I mean, you're doing the groundwork. You're finding some valid arguments to present. At what point do we need to? And we do put a call out to any legal counsel that can assist William. He's striking the first blow in this most important battle for integrity and freedom. Who else is willing to come to the party and help this get across the line?
Yeah, I think that's a very important call out, Dylan. It's not about making money for me. It's about helping all Australians. I need counsel, I need representation to get this over the line properly, because the one hurdle that I'm facing is that I don't have a legal license. So there's a certain level of disrespect that comes from that. And if counsel, a barrister, was willing to represent me, then I believe we could win this quite clearly. I mean, any counsel looking at this right now, you shall see that the evidence is before you right now. Thomas Joseph Rogers has not, in fact, followed the command of the Governor-General, David Hurley. He has not put the correct title of the law on the ballot paper. So how can I or anybody vote on the referendum this Saturday or before? Because the correct law has not been written on there. It's an illegal law. And even if it was written correctly, nobody knows about it anyway. There is no way you can even find out about it. It is a disgrace, which Dr. Miley Trinh has documented in the High Court. And you know what? Dr. Miley Trinh is amazing, because I sought lawyers and help, and they were asking for thousands and thousands of dollars of money. And whilst they were asking, Dr. Miley Trinh, who is suspended for 20-something months, she gave me money to help fund this case. Yeah. Is that not correct, Miley Trinh?
Yes. Yes, yeah. Because I think you're doing a fantastic job, Billy. You're the only one in Australia who's taking the matter to the High Court. So to me, this is a very important fight, and it doesn't make sense that no one's supporting you. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, thank you, and God bless you. It's just so heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time that that you, of all people, are having to shell out to help fund these High Court cases when you are suffering so greatly as a suspended doctor. And so I just want to commend you for that. You are a true hero and champion for this country. And I know that Dazzle loves you, Michael loves you, I love you, we all love you. Thank you for showing Australia what Australians truly can be.
Amen to that.
Dr. Paul, over to you. Say something.
I'm more than happy to match and exceed Miley's contributions.
Yay!
Wow.
That's not a problem. That's not a problem.
Wow. See, it's happening already, Dylan.
Thank you.
You should take that as read. But no, I'll say it explicitly.
Thank you, Paul.
I'll say it explicitly rather than off camera. This is important.
Thank you, Paul.
This is important. These are questions that have to be asked, and I think that it's a bit mind-boggling that you've got these. I'm imagining this nursing home and these polling booths everywhere, where you've just got vote yes everywhere, under the aegises or apparent aegises of the government and the AEC, and there's no no anywhere. There's no sense that this is a binary choice, that there are actually two choices here. It's really quite evil, and it is so reminiscent of the crimes that have been committed during COVID. So this is an extension of it. It boggles the mind that we can accept that here we're supposed to be making a choice between a constitutional alteration, yes or no, and the no is not equally represented. It's a terrible crime, and we have to push back. And I think that the right legal people will come. Unfortunately, I think it's similar.
I do too. I know Dylan does, yes.
I think it's similar to the situation with doctors, because they probably know that their career will be trashed, that they won't, that they fear that they won't be able to go back to the practice.
But they should not fear. They should have faith that we can win and will win. It is very, very clear. We can win this, and we should win this. This entire referendum is illegal. It absolutely is. And I do hope that the High Court agrees with me today. But if it doesn't, Dylan, what we need then is legal counsel or a rich person to come in and support me to higher counsel, so then I can then appeal this appeal, because it's not over, ladies and gentlemen. Even if I lose today, as always, it's about fighting on, going on. We will never give in, and we will never lose. And for those doubters out there who doubt the veracity of what I'm saying, I just want to add to the stage now. This is the affidavit of Miley Trinh. Oops, I'm going to... maybe I shouldn't have done that, but it's already in the public domain. Yeah, so that is true, isn't it? Yes, so that's okay. This is the truth, ladies and gentlemen. This is what has been submitted in the High Court. This is Miley Trinh's affidavit, which is a sworn statement punishable by law if it's false, and it's not false, because I know Miley, and she swears to God, and she was there. And other people, actually, I've got other affidavits. It's not just Miley Trinh, Paul. We can win this case. I've got affidavits coming out of my I don't know, my home, and I've got I've got my own voting pack that did not have the referendum booklet in it, as well as this fraudulent ballot paper. So we've got so much evidence. So we've got, this is the affidavit. Miley, would you like to read it?
I can't see, it's too small.
But do you have the affidavit in your house somewhere, perhaps? Do you want to go grab it?
Yes.
Okay, go grab it.
Yeah, okay.
While she's doing that.
Yes, go ahead, Dylan.
I wanted to talk to this idea about funding that Paul has generously offered to match Miley's contributions already to your legal cases, and that's a wonderful gesture by Dr. Paul Oosterhuis.
Yes.
And the fact is that, in a way that you've struck the first blow legally, Miley is, in a sense, is striking the first blow with this funding for these cases. God bless her for that. She obviously sees the bigger picture here. This is bigger than any one of our own individual lives and lifestyles and conveniences. We have the battle of our lives on our hands, and we've all got to put our hand to the plough. In saying that, I've made, as you're aware, William, in the last couple of days, made some appeals to people in this nation that I say Australians of significant means and significant resource, who, because we've had a budget suggested to us by a legal expert in this nation of around $250,000 to get a High Court lawyer, a silk, if you will, somebody who is able to take the very strong work that you've done, the background work that you've done around this case, William, into the High Court, and to argue it successfully. Just before I continue on, can you hear a guinea fowl or not squawking away at my place?
we definitely can hear guinea fowl, but that just adds to the authenticity of this entire production.
Let me just close a door, because
yeah, sure. Go ahead. Well, Miley will read out her affidavit.
It's distracting me.
It's all working well. Here we go. So I'm going to put this affidavit on for Miley. Just a moment, Miley. Oh, why is it? It's saying. Okay. Just a moment. See, Paul, you're a better producer than me. Here we go. I got it. Okay, go ahead, Miley.
All right. So my affidavit says, Miley Trinh of 10 Khartoum Avenue, Gordon, in New South Wales, 2072, suspended medical practitioner, affirms as follows. 1. I, Miley Trinh, reside in New South Wales in the Bradfield electorate and had this voting experience on the 7th of October 2023 at the pre-poll voting centre located at Hornsby Gang Show, Scout Group Hall, Reddy Park, 92 to 74 Hornsby, New South Wales. At approximately 1:20 p.m, I attended the voting centre and was assisted by an AEC staff member referred to as Adam. However, Adam declined to provide me his full name. After having my name marked off the voter list, I received the ballot paper. I requested to view the full proposed law before casting my vote, but Adam informed me that there were no available copies. He directed me to the supervisor, Mr. Adam Caddy, located at the end of the hall. Upon speaking with Mr. Caddy, I inquired about the availability of the proposed law for review. To my disappointment, he informed me that no such document existed. He further stated that even if I were given the opportunity to read it, I would not comprehend its contents because it is complicated and difficult to understand. He pointed out that the proposed law has not been drafted yet. Mr. Caddy explained that the ballot I was voting on was intended to alter the Constitution, pointing to the section of the ballot paper that stated a proposed law to alter the Constitution and recognise the first people of Australia, establishing an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. He assured me that the law has not been drafted yet. Obviously, Mr. Caddy was incorrect, and I believe that he should have been properly informed and trained by the AEC. Moreover, the voting centre should have made the entire proposed law available to the public. Despite not having access to the full proposed law, I proceeded to cast my vote. According to Section 128 of the Constitution, the AEC is obligated to submit to me the complete proposed law during voting. Regrettably, this requirement was not met. Additionally, I would like to note that I did not receive the referendum booklet in the mail prior to the voting day, and I solemnly declare that the content of this affidavit this affidavit are true and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief.
Thank you, Miley. Well done. And thank you for having the bravery to compile that affidavit for me and to get it into the High Court, because that too is on the record now. That can never be disputed, that this is indeed what happened in the lead up to the 2023 referendum, which we will not lose. We will either not lose it at the ballot box, or we will not lose it at the courts, or we will not lose it in the court of public opinion. We will win one way or another, Paul. I know that, I trust that, I believe that. And I know you believe that too, Dylan, and everybody else. But if one more thing I could show everybody, and I'm just going to put it on stage now, since I'm the producer for today. This is how fraudulent the referendum gets, because even the Commonwealth Gazette, Miley, by Tom Rogers, the Australian Electoral Commissioner himself, says that the proposed law is not the one, in fact, that is written on the ballot paper. That's right. It's not just the referendum, but by his own admission. So lawyers, this is how easy it gets to win. By his own admissions, the Electoral Commissioner has confessed that he has not completed the ballot paper correctly. So let me read it for you. And you can find this on the Commonwealth Government Gazette website. So, notification of particulars of writ for a referendum. This was published on the 11th of September 2023. It says, from Tom Rogers, I have received a writ issued by His Excellency the Governor General. Yes, you did, Tom. Commanding you, that's right. See, he's confessing to everything. How can we lose? Commanding me to cause a proposed law for the alteration of the Constitution entitled, now here we come to the crux of the argument. Ready for it? Constitution Alteration of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Voice 2023. Case closed. We win. Go home. It's all done, Your Honour. It can't get any clearer than this, can it? The referendum writ says that's the title of the law. Tom Rogers himself says this is the title of the law. The booklet says that's the title of the law. Everything says that's the law, except for the ballot paper. Except for the ballot paper. And that is why we must stop this referendum from going ahead, or at the very least die trying doing that.
Yes. We have a suspicion, I think, Dylan, that these demented people are voting yes. We can't prove it, but we may have armies of dead and demented voting automatically. That's the fear that there is widespread. I know we can't. We're not saying we can't prove it, but the behaviours are consistent with this sort of steel, and the fact that they're not putting the actual law in front of the Australian people, the fact that they're not putting the counter arguments in front of, they're playing loose and fast with the law and with the spirit of the law and with truth, and that's why just raising these very straightforward aspects of what's going on, I think has caught on. People are saying, hang on, we were lied to. We were told it was one page, and then we discover it's multiple pages. And then when asked about it, they go, "Oh, well, I haven't read it." You know, what a cavalier attitude!
Yeah.
Yes.
What a cavalier attitude towards changing the highest law of our land. That and the people see that these are the questions you're raising and others are raising are very reasonable questions. And we're watching that they're not addressing it, and by not addressing it, we are winning. We are winning, and
we
the
are
sheep
winning,
agrees,
Paul.
and the sheep agrees with me. I mean, that's obviously a yes voter. That's obviously a yes voter who is acting as a troll, But we hear you. We hear you, and we
it's okay, Dylan. It's all good fun.
We reject your yeah.
Okay,
That's right.
So we have a
the no vote must win.
Sorry to interrupt. We have a lamb that's being bottle fed at the moment because she got abandoned by her mum, and so it's feed time, and the children are going to feed her. Now we've got a horse. I'm just looking at the window. I saw one of my horse playing up as well. So hey, it's
all happening.
my life.
It's all happening, yes, and it's a life worth living, Dylan, because you're doing everything possible for this country. You're doing everything possible for God, and I want to thank you for all your service there. And what Paul said is absolutely correct, that this is a scam. Just like the vaccines, there is a lack of informed consent. Nobody knows what's going on with this law. It's not written on the ballot paper. It's not written in the referendum booklet. It's not even written appropriately on the Federal Register of Legislation. And so nobody knows what's going on, and that's why people, in a nutshell, are being deceived into voting yes. I trust and believe that we will not have this constitution changed, because if it is changed, I'm going overseas. I will be leaving this country, because I can't stand to work, not work. I'm not working anyway. To live in a country that's lost its soul. Miley, will you be joining me?
Yes, definitely. I think we're voting a very we're changing the constitution. This is such an important matter because you can't unchange. So once you insert this constitution, you can't take it away. So it is really important that people know what they're doing. And so
Absolutely.
to have a referendum where you don't tell the people what they're voting for, it's illegitimate. It's just fraudulent. And
So fraudulent.
Yes.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable. Of all the things we've gone through in the past 3 years, how dare they try and ram this one down our throats? It was bad enough they tried to inject us with chemicals and DNA and mRNA that is killing people, and it has caused the excess deaths of 30,000 Australians or more. But now they're not satisfied with that, Dylan. They want to go further, and they want to take away our very soul, our constitution. A constitution, by the way, that I will say in the very first paragraph proclaims God Almighty as the authority above all authorities, that gives the power behind this constitution. And even the High Court itself has said the power behind the constitution is the Australian people. That was the decision of Chief Justice Keifel and the other justices in Gurner v Victoria 2020. Look it up, people. The High Court is telling us we have the power. So as one of those powerful people, I am declaring that this referendum is invalid. It cannot win. It can never go ahead, because they have not described the proposed law. They have not given informed consent to the Australian people. So just like the vaccine, it can never be held to be legal or ethical or just. Dylan, please.
Yeah, it's looking increasingly like what I've termed now a constitutional hijack. That's what it's increasingly looking like. And you're right, Paul. It seems, well, when I put this story out, the whole idea is to put the story out that Elaine told, her accurate account, to see who else might come forward as well and verify that the same things are happening elsewhere. And that's been happening. And I know that Rukshan is onto another situation in a different state that's similar to what Elaine described, and I think you will follow that one up. But, look, you talked about reminiscent of what happened in the US around the big steel and so on. And look, that's what I've had people on Twitter. The wonderful thing about Twitter, as you know, Billy and Paul and Miley, is that you do have such an international community that you're interacting with. And many of them have described exactly that. This sounds like what happened in the US. It looks like they're trying to steal this. It looks like they're trying to hijack. And this is our constitution. So it's a pretty serious matter. And I see it as a Trojan horse. And Trojan horses are never what they're presented to be. They're not useful. And I think there's strong argument out there that this supposed voice agency is not going to be useful. It's not going to stop or undo the cycles of sexual violence and sexual issues in some of these remote Indigenous communities. It's not going to break the cycle of alcohol abuse. It's not going to help this long-term unemployment that many Indigenous folk are suffering with. This kind of thing doesn't work. There are many agencies already that are dedicated to trying to fix this, and a lot of money's been spent. And this is not going to be the silver bullet to fix these issues. So it's not going to be useful. But the other thing around a Trojan horse is that some others will argue with the Trojan horse myth that I'm referring to, the old story from the Greek city of Troy, is that some called out, but it's harmless. What's the big deal? It's just a big wooden horse. What's the big? We'll give it a go at least. Can't be that bad. But it's not harmless either. And the story of the Trojan horse, it's neither harmless nor useful. It gets rolled into the city. The city gates open. The righteous remnant, the voices crying in the wilderness, don't do it, stop. You're making a mistake, are drowned out by the clamour of the crowd, and the wooden horse gets rolled into the city. The gates get shut, and under the cover of darkness, the enemy soldiers spill out and take the city from within. These are serious matters, and putting that aside, I mean, if the government of the day wants Australians to own this constitution, they're doing everything, own this referendum, they're doing everything at the moment to make sure that it won't be owned by anybody because of all of the funny business, the dodgy dealings. Someone did a meme the other day, and I shared it on with Ray Martin, portrayed as a used car salesman saying, come on, guys, you D-heads and you dinosaurs, come here and don't worry about the details, sign here and get this used car.
What a fraud. What a fraud. Well, Dylan, we've arrived at the moment. Okay. Here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for. The High Court has made a decision in this decision regarding the legality of the 2023 referendum ballot paper. Will they deny my appeal or will they allow it? We shall see. I haven't looked at the decision yet. I've just downloaded it straight to my computer and I'm about to upload it, so I don't know what's going to happen. Miley, would you like to have the honour of reading the decision from the High Court right now?
Yes, if I can see it.
Well, I was waiting for your consent, informed consent first before putting it on the screen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. This is the decision in the 2020 referendum. Maybe praise God that it shall be a good one. And if it's not, we will fight on and we will win. Here we go. Good luck, Miley. Good luck, everyone. Can you read it, Miley? Can you? Oh, Miley's gone. She's gone right off the stage. So whilst we're waiting for her to come back, I shall just read the front page. So it's yeah. Can you see the document, Miley?
Okay. Can you hear me? I'm reading.
Yes, go ahead, please.
High Court of Australia, notice of filing. This document was filed electronically. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. Take the stage.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, 100%. technical issues at the last moment, Dylan. It always happens. All right, okay. Well, I'm gonna mute you, Dr. Paul, the smoking hero of the moment. Go for it, sir.
So, in the matter of an application by William Anicha Bay for leave, Brisbane, reasons for the decision by a single justice. All right.
Go for it.
So, in the matter of an application by William Anicha Bay for leave to issue or file, then this is by the judgment.
Oh, Chief Justice. Excellent. All right, Paul. Here we go. God bless. Dylan, have faith. Oh, it's a big one.
Okay. So, in the matter of the application by William Anicha Bay for leave to issue or file, 1. On the 9th of October 2023, the applicant sought to file an application for a constitutional or other writ. In it, he sought declarations that the ballot paper for the referendum to be held on the 14th of October 2023 does not comply with the requirements of the Referendum Machinery Provisions Act 1984, Commonwealth, the Referendum Act. A declaration that the ballot paper disenfranchises qualified electors, a writ of mandamus to compel the Electoral Commissioner to reprint the ballot paper according to the law, and an injunction restraining the counting of votes until this reprint has taken place. On the 9th of October 2023, Justice Gleeson directed, pursuant to Rule 6.07.2 of the High Court Rules 2004, the rules, that the registrar refused to issue or file the application without leave of a justice had been obtained by, without leave of a justice first had been and obtained by the applicant. So I might read it. The registrar refused to issue or file the application without the leave of a justice first and obtained by the applicant. The applicant now seeks that leave by way of an ex parte application filed on the 10th of October 2023.
Absolutely. God praise us and we praise the Lord. Dylan, would you like to read from paragraph 2?
It's a little blurry on my screen here, William, but I'll have an attempt. Form B of Schedule 1 of the Referendum Act provides that the ballot paper is to contain the title of the proposed law. The proposed law, the Constitution alteration,
that sounds good.
Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander
Yes, that's
Voice
the law.
2023. I can't read those little digits there.
Commonwealth Bill.
I know something, Bill. Yeah, Bill. Was passed by both Houses of Parliament on the 19th of June, 2023. The applicant's grounds for the
orders sought
are that the ballot paper contains a reference to the long title of that.
Yeah, and I'll just stop you there. I'm really pleased that everything they've said so far is exactly as the way I saw it. So I'm liking this so far. Let's continue, Dylan.
Okay. I can't. You've got to flick the page, do you?
Yeah, I flipped it. We're on page 2 now. It hasn't come through for you?
It has, but I can't read that. So
okay, all right. Miley, you want to give a try again? Are you back with sound?
Oh no, I can finish my bit now. I can see it.
All right, go ahead, Dylan.
No, I can't. Sorry, I'm sorry.
All
Either
right,
I need glasses or my screen is too blurry.
All right, I'll have a go. Let me just flip back to that paragraph on page 1. So the last sentence was, the applicant's grounds for the orders sought are that the ballot paper contains a reference to the long title of that proposed law when it should refer to the short title. Yes, that's my argument, which is referred to in the writ of the referendum. Yes, as I explained today, and that the title disenfranchises electors by misleading them about the content and meaning of the Yeah, very good. Great. We're getting this. Both arguments rely on Section 128 of the Constitution. The applicant contends that to adhere to the requirements of Section 128, either the correct title or the full proposed law should be on the ballot paper. The failure to do so jeopardizes the legitimacy of the outcome of the referendum. Love it. On the record, 100% and winning. Paragraph 3. Paul, go ahead, sir.
On the 15th of September 2023, I refuse the applicant's ex parte application for leave to issue or file an application for a constitutional or other writ. The applicant had argued that Form B of Schedule 1 of the Referendum Act was constitutionally invalid in requiring the title of the proposed law rather than the content of the proposed law itself to be printed on the referendum ballot paper. The applicant essentially seeks to agitate the question about the requirements of Section 128 regarding the content of the proposed law again. The applicant's further contention is the present application concerning a reference to the long or short title of the proposed law on the ballot paper adds nothing of substance to his argument.
Nothing of substance.
The Referendum Act does not specify which title is to be used. The fact that the short title was used in the writ could not conclude the matter. No requirement is to be found in Section 128 by implication.
Okay, so Chief Justice Keifel's decision is that, my arguments regarding that, which I've shown all the viewers today, are not true. Okay, that's fine. We shall move on to the next page of the slide. And for these reasons, the application is an abusive process within the meaning of Regulation 6071 of the rules. That being the case, it is not necessary to consider the question of the applicant's standing. There will be an order that the ex parte application filed on 10th of October for leave to issue a file for an application for a constitutional other writ be refused. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. I have lost again, and for surprising reasons, might I say. But at least we've got some reasons in this case. They didn't get any reasons yet for the loss this morning regarding APRA. I'm still waiting for those. Paul, what did you think of those reasons?
Well, that's what the justice has come up with.
Correct.
I think we will need to sit and examine
digest
those very closely. It's disappointing. It's disappointing, but it's a Chief Justice, and we have to respect their process.
Yes, we do.
But it's by no means over.
Correct, sir. What an excellent summary. Miley, would you like to add anything to that? Because we shall be closing soon.
Billy, I've read your submission, and you put forward a really, really solid reasons for your submission, and I think they are correct and they're the truth. So I think this is just the first step of the initial step of our fight, and it's not going to end here.
Thank you, Miley. And Dylan, the last word today.
Well, look, I echo both those sentiments. I think there is a process. We're dealing with the High Court here, and I think this just takes us to the next step, which is by way of an appeal. William has been like a David versus Goliath, taking on these powers that be at the moment, which are trying to ram things through that and to cut corners, as we've seen. Now he's gone as far as he can. He's made some very strong arguments. Really, what we need now, and we've talked already to legal experts around this, and there's been a lot of arguments in the media, from everything from the Quadrant magazine through to the Spectator magazine, through to other mainstream media publications, around legal experts in this country's concerns, particularly around this referendum question. William's come at this in a couple of different ways now, and the High Court has rejected his applications. What we have the opportunity to do, and it's wonderful when you have a diagnosis. Really, we need a High Court lawyer, a specialist, a silk. I'm not even sure what the correct term is, but somebody who's able to take this matter now in the different angles, take the hard work, the groundwork that William's done, and progress this matter in the High Court. That's the advice that we've been given. Now, the price tag or a budget for doing something like that is $250,000. which in the big scheme of things, with what our nation's facing, the seriousness around this, is not a big figure. Now, when I first spoke to William about this, it immediately didn't come to me that we pass the hat around and try and raise a few dollars off what is already an exhausted freedom community, have done a lot by way of fundraising and putting their time and resources into the cause. And I know that many are willing to keep on going, and they won't stop, and they will stare down any mockers and sneerers and whatever to keep fighting for our fair nation. But what I sense in my spirit is that there are some big hitters out there. There are some heavy hitters out there. There are some Australians, and maybe they're even international, came to me as well. Let's say they're international folk who really care about this fair country of Australia, really care about the battle that we're facing as Australians, because this is not just an assault that we've seen over the last few years on Australians. It's an assault on humanity. This is an assault on humanity itself. So maybe that wherever they are, these people of significant means who are able to put this kind of money, $250,000, maybe it's one person, maybe it's two, maybe it's three people, put together this money to allow for a budget to recruit or to hire a High Court justice to take what William's done, not justice, High Court lawyer, to take what William's done and to argue this in the High Court and to get this matter checked out sufficiently and thoroughly. I'm putting that call out today. I've done it already on a live stream interview with Pat Mesiti. I did it also when I was sitting with the dear old 73-year-old Elaine. I put the same appeal out. Where are the Australians of significant means, other people even from overseas, who realise that our nation of Australia is at the crossroads, that we are facing a battle like we've never faced before in our lives? I quoted the passage from Esther, chapter 4, where Mordecai, there was a conspiracy against the Jews. Mordecai knew about it. He was in sackcloth and ashes sitting outside the palace. And Esther, his cousin, who was now the queen of Persia, she sent word, why are you sitting in sackcloth and ashes? And he said, haven't you heard? Don't you know there is a conspiracy to wipe us all out? And she said, well, what can I do? He said, you must go before the king. Now, for her to go before the king unannounced could mean her death. That was the rules, the laws of Persia at that time. And she said that to him. She said, I could die. And he said, I know that, but maybe, and I'm paraphrasing, maybe Esther, you've come to the kingdom for such a time as this. If you don't act, if you don't do something, relief will come from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. But maybe you've come to the kingdom for such a time as this. And her response, once she counted the cost, was this: I will go before the king. And if I perish, I perish. And she took that responsibility for the nation, for her people, upon herself. I'm calling out to Australians of significant means, people who have been blessed in this country with great wealth and great resources. Yes, you've been clever. Yes, you've worked hard. Yes, you've done well to build that wealth that you now have. But the book of Deuteronomy chapter 8 said, it is I, God, who gives you the power to get wealth, and do not forget me. So I would say this, that at this time, what's all your wealth worth? What's all of that you've accumulated worth if you lose your own nation, if you lose your own people, if you lose your own family's future, the future of your children? We know what's going on. It's clear as day for anybody to see that there are underhanded tactics, that this whole question on this constitutional referendum is making a mockery of really what the Constitution says. But William has tried his best to get that argument across. William has tried his best to put that case forward. Who now can help fund a High Court lawyer to come in and take over and to help this situation now? That's what I'm putting a call out for. I believe that can be done. I don't think it has to be a burden on too many people at all.
No. Yes. Thank you, Dylan. And thank you so much for coming on the show today. Thank you, Dr. Paul Oosterhuis. Thank you, the suspended Dr. Miley Trinh. God bless you. I do want to say that I think that there are appealable grounds in that decision today. I think very strong appealable grounds, but it's true. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. But if there is a lawyer out there willing to go all the way with William Bay, please contact me, or please contact Michael Griffiths or Dylan or Paul or Miley, and we will win this together. For now, ladies and gentlemen, I do hope and trust that we will defeat the Evil Yes campaign on Saturday, this Saturday, the 14th of October, via the ballot box. But if we don't, please support me in this fight in the High Court to overturn that decision. Thanks, everybody. God bless. Take care. And we will win.
God bless you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.